This the one?
Yes.
Okay. Pardon? Is this it? Turn it back. How many of you are glad to be anywhere? How many have noticed you're still here? In spite of everything else that could have went wrong and did go wrong, we're still here. Our heart's beating, we're breathing. Brother Art and Sister Eileen, bless me, they got that energy battery inside of them. Stop is not in them. It's just go. So we're glad to be here. And I just felt like many of you this morning may be asking the Lord a question. What's going on in my life? Never asked that. Because I had. And I feel the Lord wants to say this to you to answer it. He says you're growing. That's what's going on. You're growing. Now, you don't feel like you're growing, but from God's point of view, you are growing strong. Some of you are growing like wow. Flowers. Our one grandson, how many of you know our children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, they still teaching us? And Robbie, our 8-year-old grandson, had some leg pain, and he said to his mom and daddy, my legs are hurting, they're painful. So they took him to the doctor. The doctor said, well, I have good news. It's growing pains. He's growing so rapidly. It hurts. I don't mean to look at anybody right now. But you are growing so rapidly in the Spirit.
Yes.
That's the pain of it.
Yes.
He said the bad news, there's pain with that amount of growing. You're in a growth spurt. I mean, trouble, I don't know about you, I'm learning after about 40 years, trouble could be my best friend.
Yes, there. Thank you.
I never knew it. Because trouble brought me to Jesus.
Amen.
You didn't come to Jesus on a good day, did you?
No, sir.
You came when all H-E-L-L broke loose. Glad you came. But trouble, pain, it's the fertilizer. It's like fertilizer, isn't it?
Yes.
And I think God's pouring some miracle growth over some of you.
It's about time.
And you're really growing. You're growing. You don't feel like it. You don't think you are. You think you're going backwards. God says you're growing. Pain means you're alive. Trouble means you're still here. I had a blood clot in the artery. I mentioned this. I just want to mention it briefly. 15 years ago, 50-50 chance of living. They broke it open in time. 3 days later, they kept me in the hospital, go up in me, heart catheterization to see how much blockage or whatever caused it. Blood clot in the artery in my heart. 50-50 chance I survived it. 3 days later, that heart test, I was supposed to be awake, and the doctor came into my room when I woke up from it. And he said, "Are you okay?" I said, "What do you mean?" "You know, the doctor's supposed to be telling you something." Because you pay him a lot of money. But I love doctors. If you're related, if you're a doctor, I love you. Thank you. I'm still here. And he said, "Well, 3 days ago, 50-50 chance of living, and out on the table, your heart stopped. And we jumped it back to beat again." He said, "You're a lucky man. Never let a doctor number your days.
That's right. That's right.
They don't know.
That's right.
Our times are in God's hands." I think if it had not been for the Lord on our side Many of us would not be here this morning. Some of us would not be any place here if it had not been. And our one grandson, he's 8 years old also, 17 days apart they were born. Shane, Robbie and Shane are so different, like night and day. Robbie's not afraid of anything, and Shane is a little bit hesitant about stuff, especially storms. He used to be. Well, we took him to Baltimore to see the Science Center a few weeks ago, and coming back there was a bad storm coming up, and of course Robbie's not afraid of the storm. He made that clear. So Shane spoke up in the back seat beside Robbie and said, "I like storms." We knew it was by faith he was saying that. And the thunder started rolling in. Could hardly drive because of the rain beating the car. And after a while he said, "I like little storms." And that thunder got louder. And he said it to his daddy, Ryan, up in the front seat, said, "Daddy, would you check the weather forecast?" Ryan, his dad, checked it out. He said, "Yeah, honey, it's storming bad back home in our house." Shane turned to Omi, Dagmar, and said, "Omi, would you pray?" Let's be honest. We like little storms. But God rolls the thunder. And I know in Texas you've been hit by everything. Everything. You're the miracle that's still here. God is what you do. My mother, I was reminded this to share this morning. My mother had open heart surgery when she was 70-some years old, serious. And we was in the waiting room after they did surgery. We couldn't wait to find out how did it go. So we wait for the doctor to come out after he did the surgery. And he came out and said to the family, he said, "I want you to know something. When you go in and see her, she's not going to look very good to you because of what she's been through. But because of what she's been through, she looks great." She looks great to us. And there's some of you here this morning, because of what you've been through. There's people in your life that don't think you look that good or act right. Okay. God likes to get us laughing, then he kills us. But because of what you've been through, God says you look great. Because of what you've been through. I think God honors what we've been through. He doesn't forget those times. And I hear the Lord saying to I think all of us, because you have so many enemies, I'm going to bless you. Because you have so many enemies surrounding you right now, that's the reason I'm going to bless you. I'm just going to do it for that reason. I may be surrounded, but I'm surrounded by Him. Amen. We may be surrounded, but we're surrounded by the Lord. Yes. Who gives the final word and answer. He's just going to bless us. I mean, He can do that. He acts like He's God. I feel the Lord saying, I'm going to bless you from this day forward. Just because you have so many enemies. Your enemies have come to bless you and didn't know it. They just didn't know. He's lifting you up above. your head above all your enemies. And I heard this saying on the way over here from Baltimore. What did I hear? You want to be in ministry, go ahead. God will keep you very humble.
Yes.
Be careful to get over your gut punches.
Yes.
Make sure you know how to handle a gut punch. A gut punch is when somebody comes along and even says something to you or does something that knocks the breath out of your lungs. You wonder if you're going to live.
Yeah.
Somebody's had some gut punches that's knocked the wind out of you, and you didn't know if you're going to make it. And the Lord brought this back to my mind. Maybe it's because it's football season coming. I don't know. Pray for me. But I'm a Steeler fan, and I'm not ashamed of the gospel of Christ. or the Steelers. But listen, Ben Roethlisberger, if I didn't know how to say it, that's all right. He's a tall guy, real big and strong. It's hard to tackle him. It's just known that way. It's hard to bring him down. He shared one of his secrets in football. He said, you know, when I know I'm going to get tackled by a guy and I can't escape the tackle, I start rolling. I start rolling the moment he's going to hit me. And most of the time, I outroll him. And I still am going up long enough to throw a pass. And times it's rare when I do hit the ground, because I'm on a roll, I don't hit so hard. Listen, if you don't know how to roll with a gut punch and try to resist it, it'll hurt you more. Learn to roll with the gut punches.
Amen.
Learn to roll. Because you can't escape them. How many thought when you forgave somebody the last time that was it? Until you lived another week. I've had all kind of crazy people in my life. I wouldn't be where I was without crazy people. Who drove me to Jesus. Okay, whatever. I'm glad you're laughing because God's doing surgery. You know, Houston, I felt the Lord saying Houston. And I sat beside a pastor on the plane. He lives just right across the street from the Missions Control Center, they call it, I guess. And he said, anyhow, it confirmed to me what I heard. I sense Houston is going to become a spiritual mission control center to launch things in the spirit and to control the spiritual atmosphere over at least this state of Texas. And you're part of it. It's spreading out. I see it spreading to Katy. Any Katie's in the house? Katy, Texas. It's spreading. You're a part of it. You're God's. If you live here, God sent you for this moment in history. It's going to make history again. Speaking of that, you know, I love Apollo 13. I just watch it every now and then. I'm the old school. And I watched it, and last time when God told me to watch about a month ago, he said, Bill, I want you to imagine you're in that capsule up there. And I want you to be the one who says, Houston, we have a problem. I said, Lord, I have a problem. I don't want to do that. He said, no, I want you up there, imagine it. I said, why? Because that's the way most people down here live every day. They have problems. I want you to be touched with the feelings of people's infirmities. To know how to minister. You know, the problem wasn't going up for them. It was getting back. I've seen a lot of ministries having no problem getting launched. But they have a lot of problem getting back down to earth.
Amen. Amen.
God is bringing a lot of ministries back down to earth this hour. Because some of our dreams weren't really God's. We had pizza the night before.
Amen. Pepperoni.
Maybe I shouldn't have said that, but you said pepperoni. I just really believe it's a serious time
Yes, it is.
to get back down to earth. That's where God needs us. And I believe some of our plans, He's messed with some of our plans to get us where He wants us this hour in the harvest field. And when they had problem getting back down to earth, it's because that heat shield, when they built that thing, if you watch Apollo 13, they had 3 minutes to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere. If it took longer than 3 minutes, the heat shield was so hot, it would have burned everything up. It never made it. In about the second minute, one of the guys in Mission Control that helped create that capsule, he says, you know, to the director, they're not going to make it. We didn't build it to stand this much heat. They won't make it. I'll never forget what the director said. He said, I think this could be our finest hour. Oh, that was worth watching the whole movie. I hear the Holy Spirit saying, I don't know what some of you are having trouble re-entering something, and the heat's, you're in the furnace, but don't get out, the fourth man's coming. If you get out prematurely, you have to go back in later. Stay in the heat.
Hallelujah. Yes.
3 minutes came and 3 minutes went, and the whole world that was praying lost hope for a second. Until all of a sudden, that parachute shot through the clouds. Because so many people were praying. And the devil's telling some of you, and people, even yourself, talking to yourself out of it, waiting for God's hand to move. You weren't built for this kind of pressure in your life.
Amen.
You're not going to make it. You weren't built for this. Listen, man didn't build you.
Amen.
Come on.
Thank you, Lord. Yes.
Man never built us.
Amen.
God built us.
Yes.
He knew what we could take.
Amen.
We could take as much as He does. Thank you, Jesus. I just feel something. I don't know what it is. It just, you're, I don't know you. And I'm sort of glad. But I feel like there's a great call. Holy Spirit's just on this family. I just see there's a work being done and accomplished. I don't know where you're coming from or going, but I just see a movement of the Holy Spirit upon your life, highlighting you for a move in the Spirit. I don't know where you're going to be, but I just sense a mobile ministry, some kind of mission or something. God's prepared you for it. God says you didn't come this way by chance. God, you came to this region. There's a launching anointing coming upon your lives. And I just sense, just like you're holding your one son, I just sense you're a father. You have a father, a mantle the father of many nations on you. And you're a mother like of Israel. God says you're a great father, you're a great mother. And it's going to spread out to even spiritual sons and daughters. And it's just the way you are. God built you for that. And I don't care what kind of pressure you're in or fire or heat, God says, I'm with you. I'm in the capsule. I'm holding the temperature. You won't burn.
Praise God.
You won't burn. You're coming out with no smell of smoke. Nothing's going to burn. Nothing. So, yeah, I was praying last week. God's calling me closer to Him and away from ministry. I love ministry. I never forget 8 years ago, ministry, I fell in love with it more than the Lord. And when that happens, He'll do you a great big favor. He'll come down and stop invitations to get you back safely to Him. He's calling me back again. I'm actually in a rest season. I'm here out of season, really. I'm resting. I'm not all here. Resting in the Lord. And this past week, I'm finding something. The more I be with Him, He loves it. I thrill Him being with Him. 8 years ago, here's what 3 months He shut me down. I had to be at home with my family, go to church, and be with God. It was awful 3 months. Because my flesh wanted to run. There came a moment in 3 months I heard the Father. I felt His arms around me tight. And He said to the angels, this Son is thrilling me so much, just being with me. We were created to be with God on earth, not just there. He was so thrilled. Here's what He whispered to the angels. Take this Son's ministry and run it into the four corners of the earth. He's thrilling me. That's when my ministry took off. If you take a break and rest with God a season, your ministry won't stop unless it was yours. And it needs to stop if it's yours. I feel the witness on that by air conditioning or something. But if it's God's ministry and you take a break, because even Jesus took breaks. If He did, we better. But if you take a break and it's God's ministry, it will take off without you. Because it's His, not yours. So you can afford to rest. We took a rest. I was supposed to burn out a few months ago. We went to the ocean without feeling guilty.
Yes.
We just stood in front of that ocean. We felt so small, but we knew God so big.
Amen.
That ocean, as big as it is, it was talking to us.
Yes.
God's bigger than all my waters.
Amen.
We come back so refreshed, I feel like I got born again.
Wow.
Not in church, not in the nature. If you're under pressure, get out of town. Get out of town. Some of you need to hear that. You're going through so much change and struggle. Jesus got out of town Himself, went to the mountain. Take a break. How do you know what the word transmission, no. Transition means? Transition means change. God doesn't change. Guess who does have to? Lord gave me this word. I just feel like I need to read it word for word because I don't know anybody who's not in transition. I feel like all three of our children's in transition. All of our kids. I think everybody changed. Have you been asking the question, what is going on in my life? You are probably in transition. Transition is when you don't seem to fit where you used to. And wonder how you're going to fit anywhere in the future. How many ever felt like you just don't fit down here? I wonder if we're supposed to fit. Too good down here. Because it's really not our home, is it? But God fits us. But you know what? God knows and He's excited for you. Be patient during transition. You are getting a new transmission with upgraded gears. Some of us need a new transmission with upgraded gears. Transition has a downside. I want to sort of caution you on this. During this time in your life, it has a downside. It's a vulnerable time. It's a vulnerable time for you and me. During transition, we can become vulnerable or weak because of the pressure the Lord allows to help change us, to be more like Him. Under pressure, how many know under pressure, you could say some stuff you didn't really mean that way? Huh? And other people's under pressure too. You can say something in the right spirit, and they take it wrong because they're under pressure. Be careful. It's a season of using duct tape. I feel that. I've experienced it lately. I shared something with one of the members of the church, and the way he talked to me later, like, I didn't say that at all. But he heard it like that, and I wish I'd have taped my mouth shut sometimes. By the way, they send duct tape up on every spacecraft missile. That's how Apollo 13 got back. They said, use the duct tape, help bring them back. It's going to help bring us back too. So in other words, beware of the fire of misunderstanding. And transition is a time when you can be easily misunderstood. It's like fire, because the enemy uses that against us. Misunderstanding kills relationships and ministries more than anything. It's misunderstanding. We don't talk it out to one another, reason things out to understand each other. We just leave churches. Maybe I better say that again.
Yeah.
Listen, I've been in the same church 40 years, not 40. I'm not bragging. I'm boasting. I stayed after the honeymoon was over. The longer I stayed, the more I realized it wasn't people's problems, it was me. God said, a couple of times I wanted to leave, God said, listen, son, I don't want you to leave till I tell you. See, don't leave a church till God makes it clear. Then they can bless you when you leave, instead of wondering what happened. Yeah. One time I wanted to go out the door, and God said, hey, son, don't leave now. I don't want you messing up another church. So the fear of God came on my life. Stuck it out. I've been crucified twice in the same church, 40 years crucified. When you stay long enough, you'll get nailed. It's part of growing. If you stick it out and you're staying in the right spirit, praying for the wrong authority over you even, God comes along and vindicates you sooner or later. I know that's complex. God does, listen carefully, God does call us out to help other churches and start ministries, so don't take it the wrong way. God just forgot to call me out. And so here's what the Lord said. I heard the Lord saying, I have certain gems of wisdom in some people you may not like. I have certain gems of wisdom in some people you may not like. Love everyone for your own good and welfare. Yes, that does include your enemies. I put ouch at the end. During transition, many are tempted to quit or blame the Lord for not changing things, instead of yielding to the Spirit to help change ourselves. And my wife had something on her heart about transition. And I'd just like her to come and share a few minutes about it. I don't think any of you ever heard my wife share here, have you?
Yeah.
So I gave her the mic and I might lose my ministry right now. Because she's anointed.
No, this was not my idea. This was Bill's idea.
It was God's.
Maybe. Well, when he's had this word about transition, and I was thinking about it, and just recently, Bill mentioned that we went away for 4 days to the ocean. why. We were celebrating our 40th anniversary. Yeah, very special. And I wanted to do something special. And I said, Bill, why don't we go to Chincoteague Island? And I'm telling you, it was one of the best things we ever did. Just to get away. I mean, we haven't done that for a long time. But it was special. And I can honestly say that I love my husband more than I did now. I love him now more than I did 40 years ago. But I just want to say, transition made me think of childbirth and labor. And it's been a long time. Our youngest is 26, almost 27. But it made me think, and then I've been visiting a young mother in our church that needed help. She just had her fourth baby this past. Now we got back from our trip on a Monday. She had the baby Monday morning. So Tuesday I went to see her and help if there was anything I could do. And I was asking her questions. I asked her husband, when did she go into labor? And he was sharing with me some things. He felt like they went through some spiritual warfare because of certain things. And anyway, she had the baby. She started Sunday morning and had the baby Monday morning. She was in labor for 27 hours.
Oh, no.
And this was her fourth. So, but I was fascinated. I wanted to ask her some questions. I said, and there was one point where she would say things to her husband to give him a signal to pray. She would say, doubt, leave. And then he would bind up doubt and pray it away. And she would mention something else, leave, and he would pray. At one point, it got so intense that she said, go call, she has a prayer group, go call them to pray. And he left, and he wasn't even gone 5 minutes. He texted them, and when he came back, she was okay. But I said, now, were you in transition when you told your husband to go? And she says, yeah, that was the beginning. I think she was in transition. Well, let me read to you. I had to look it up. It's been a while, but I wanted to see, the real definition. Transition in childbirth and labor. Early labor is when the cervix of the mother gradually effaces, which means thins out and stretches and dilates. It opens so the baby can come down the birth canal. Active labor is when your cervix begins to dilate more rapidly. Contractions are longer, stronger, and closer together. People often refer to the last part of active labor as transition. It's literally the transition between the first and second stage of labor. It's often described as the most challenging and hardest part of labor. It's also the shortest, at least it's supposed to be the shortest, and signals to you that your birth and your midwife or doctor and husband that your baby will soon be born. Many women doubt their ability to go on in this stage, requesting medication or worrying about how much longer it's going to take. This young mother told me, I said, cut me open, give me an epidural. But she's had natural childbirth for all her others, and she wanted it, but you're at that point where you're under so much pressure, you just say, get me out of this. I remember feeling when we had our babies, we had the last two with midwives. The last one was a home birth. But I remember feeling, I don't want to do this. I want to run away, but where do you go?
That's right.
Where do you run? How do you get away?
You can't.
You can't can't get out of it. The baby's coming, one way or another.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's during that stage of labor, women tend to become very vulnerable, Bill used that word, vulnerable to suggestions, and are more likely to accept interventions that they previously did not want. That's when you're saying, that's when this young mother said, cut me open, give me an epidural, and she really didn't want that. But you're just under so much, okay. So again, effacement means that the cervix is stretching and getting thinner. So have you ever felt stretched in your life? Have you ever felt your patients running thin? Okay, all of these, as it is in the natural, so it is in the spiritual. So what else did I want to tell you? It's very common, emotional signs of transition. It's very common for the woman to say, I'm done, I can't. That's the stage. So you might be incredibly irritated by everything, everyone around you. You may be withdrawn, difficult to communicate, respond. You may be restless, wanting to be reassured and then get away from me. You may want company and then you tell everybody to get out. So all of these feelings, some physical signs of transition, maybe shaking, trembling, sweating, having hot and cold flashes, dry mouth, and I won't give you them all because I don't think it's appropriate here. Feeling strong pressure. I heard Bill say pressure. So, all of these things are happening, and it's important to have good support, a good midwife, a good doctor who will encourage you and not do something that you regret later on. So you need encouragement. So you know what? We need to be that midwife to each other. We need to be encouraging, supporting. We need to be praying. We need to be saying, you're going to make it. You're going to get through this. You're going to make it. You're going to live. So, and this young mother, bless me, I saw in her, she was still in her bed, and on her wall she has scriptures that she's written out on pieces of construction paper up on the wall, and on one piece she wrote that quote from the movie that Bill talked to you about. This will be our finest hour. And then I'm just giving you some scriptures. I think some of them were Isaiah 41:10. Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Yes, I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Joshua 1:9. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and of good courage. Do not be afraid, nor be dismayed, for the Lord God is with you wherever you go. And Deuteronomy 31:6. Be strong and of good courage. Do not fear nor be afraid of them, for the Lord your God, He is the one who goes with you.
Amen.
He will not leave you nor forsake you. So this young mother was telling me the key for her was to believe that God was there with her and He will get her through. And the midwife said to her, you need to trade fear for faith.
Amen.
You need to trade your fear for faith.
Amen.
I just thought that was
Amen. Yes.
She'll be back here. Just a couple things. How many of you know you and your children are for signs and wonders in the land? Isaiah tells us that. And our one grandson, Shane, his parents decided to take one of these little boys, 7 years old, out of the city of New York City and bring them out to their country home. Some of them's never seen animals, certain cows and stuff. They're just inner city kids, never been out in the country much. So they planned that for a week this past summer. And they found out the little boy was a Spanish boy. His name was Jesus, means Jesus. Then they found out Jesus was born on Christmas Eve. Then they found out Jesus' mother was called Maria. And Shane, he's 8 years old, he started thinking. He came up to Dagmar one day and right to her face. He's so cute, very talented, he's got little glasses, he's so good looking. He said to Omi, he said, you know, it's almost like we're going to be taking care of Jesus for a week. And that struck me. What would it be like if we realized with one another, with people or strangers, we're going to be taking care of Jesus? Even the least of these, we're taking care of Him. So it's really amazing what God's doing. And I believe, I want to go back to this scepter statement. I believe Texas has been through so much. I just feel that because you've been through so much, spirit, soul, mind, and body, with trauma and stuff, I see the scepter being raised. Because of what you've been through. Because of what you've been through. And I see it raised even high for your whole families. God says the scepter's up for the whole house. I think that's why there's so many angels in this place. We're going to be released to set up camp round about your dwelling place and family members far and near. Going to be released. May a scepter rise. A couple more thoughts here. I want to give. I don't always use a rifle. I use a shotgun, so it's hard to not have whiplash sometimes. But I believe for Katy, Texas, I believe the Lord gave me a few words. For it. Something happened. I will. She always says it at home, then she has to come find it. I don't see it. Anyhow, I just feel like Katy, Texas, or Houston, wherever you're from, God's fingerprints and footprints you're going to start seeing starting this year, in September, even now. God's going to have His fingerprints and footprints all throughout cities and neighborhoods where you're from. And God says those footprints and fingerprints are going to be your own because God's going to use you to do it. He's going to use you to do it. And in closing, a year ago we got a notice from the city. How many know it's something when the city notices you? We got a notice that our sidewalk out in front of our house, it was uneven. One of the sidewalk blocks was uneven. And they said, we'll give you a year to repair it. I thought to myself, these are called city sidewalks. So I called up the boss. I said, the city sidewalk out front of our house, you're telling us we need to repair it. I said, I thought it was yours. He said, no, it's yours. It's on your property. So I started loving that man. Sometimes I have to love people by faith till the light kicks in. And so we got an estimate, and they came. Oh, by the way, the Lord told me, I'll tell you later, if I don't forget. Anyhow, we got a nice crew that come and they dug deep, poured it out, smoothed out real top, and they put these orange cones in front of it so nobody would walk through the fresh cement. And so they did a good job, and 10 minutes after the crew left, I looked out the window and I saw this set of footprints right in that fresh cement. I said to Dagmar, who in the world in this city could be that stupid? I think that's the reason why God didn't tell me who it was. She said, I don't know, Bill, but you'll probably end up getting a message out of it. I said, I don't think so. I'm not very close to the Spirit right now. So I had to call the crew up. They come back, smooth it out. And this time, instead of just the 2 cones, they put like one of the plastic bars between them so nobody else that's stupid could get through it. So 3 days later, I'm brushing my teeth, not thinking about God. And he speaks this to me. He said, son, I'm pouring out fresh sidewalks in the cities and neighborhoods. And by the way, I'm looking for somebody who's stupid enough to walk in this fresh cement, to leave their legacy for generations to come. I'm looking for somebody. It's interesting. We studied that those set of footprints. There was not one piece of wet cement on the next block of sidewalk after it. No markings of those footprints after, it's though they came down and went back up. To me, that's a sign. What he's challenges us this morning. He said, would you be willing to walk in the freshly poured sidewalks of your city? I'm pouring out in neighborhoods right now to leave a legacy for others to follow. I don't know about you, but I'm young and I'm getting a little older. I said, Lord, don't let me leave this world until I leave a mark on it. I want to leave a set of footprints so people will know this is where he walked. And if he made it, I can too. So I went to Lowe's. I bought my cones at home are bigger, but these will work. I bought a set of these. And if somebody could help me move this back, I don't know how else to do this, but I just feel like God wants to make this thing real in the Spirit. And I think, I'm not sure where to put these and make room. We could,
We need to move some chairs back or something.
I'm not sure. I think this will work. If we could just don't come now, we'll come down here and walk through. And this will be wet cement right here. If you have nice shoes, don't worry about it. It's the Lord.